All right, hello YouTube. We're back with another video, and I think this one's really important. So I decided to film it at, I think it's midnight. It is midnight, but I think it's really important. And that's comparing yourself, that's FOMO, and that's feeling like you're missing out on opportunities. I'm using examples in this video that relate to making money or to entrepreneurship. And that's just because that's the situations where I had to think about this topic. But I think it's very applicable to other life areas. Like if you're an athlete to sport, if you're an artist to art, I mean, really, it can be applied to anything. And I think these tips are very transferable. So I encourage you to sort of see past the examples if they don't necessarily speak to you. The first thing I want to tell you is a story that sort of contextualizes why I've been thinking about this recently. So we've all seen the price of cryptocurrencies sort of crash recently or go down or whatever. That got me thinking about how crypto blew up initially and my story with it. And so I want to tell you about a time in around 2015. I have notes for this, just that's why I'm looking down. But yeah, so a time around 2015 where young Nabil was very much into anything digital. I spent way too much time on my tiny little iPod Touch 4 on the internet using Bitcoin faucets. And so not a lot of people know what this is nowadays, so I want to tell you about it. So Bitcoin faucets are something that existed back in the day. I don't think there are many of them right now, but the idea was it's a website or an app where you watched ads or like video ads, or you just clicked on ads, and it would reward you for doing so with very, very, very small amounts of Bitcoin. And the reason why they're called a faucet is because in the same way a faucet drips water sometimes, the idea was that Bitcoin faucets drip Bitcoin when you use them. Anyway, that's just tell you what it was. So I used to spend a lot of time on these Bitcoin faucets, and just to give you an idea of the time period we're talking about here, you would get Satoshis out of these faucets, which were, I think, let's Google this. So one Satoshi is 0.0000001 Bitcoin. Anyway, so I used to get lots of Satoshis from this. Not much Bitcoin. Anyway, so this was very early. There wasn't any like crypto debit cards or crypto like NFTs or anything. That wasn't a thing. But so I had used these faucets quite a bit, and around 2016 I found myself with 0.1 Bitcoin, which was amazing at the time. I was like, oh my god, I almost went to Bitcoin. And I didn't pay anything, right? Like this was just me clicking mindlessly through ads to get drips of Bitcoin out of the faucets. Anyway, so circa around 2016 or 17, crypto started blowing up, and Bitcoin had gone up to, I think, 1,000 or 2,000 or a couple thousand. And I decided to stupidly sell my very little 0.1 Bitcoin for around like $200 or something. I don't remember the exact amount, but I was just ecstatic. I had made like a 10x or even more return on something I didn't even pay for. So obviously I sold at the time. Not regretting the selling or, wishing, obviously I wish I invested more, but that's not the point of the story. The point of the story is that was a time where I was really early on, I don't want to call it a trend, but like early on learning about something new and valuable in society. And that was Bitcoin, cryptocurrency. I was technically very early in learning about it. And so the point of the story is that I've been reflecting recently about it, and I find myself in a situation now where I am interested in all this Web3 crypto space and sort of what happened with stablecoins. These are all things that interest me, but I'm nowhere near as cutting edge or advanced or early as I was back in the day. I have friends that are 10 times more versed in crypto than I am, and in no way am I even advanced in the space, I think, relative to others. We'll get to comparing at the end of this video. But anyway, so I've, sometimes sit there and like, am I missing out on, crypto now? Looking back, I was so ahead of it. What happened? And so that gets me to the second part of this video, where I want to talk about uncertainty and change. There used to be a time that before a certain time where things were at least somewhat certain. At least like the word uncertain wasn't prevalent or very used. Fast forward, 2020, 2021, 2022, uncertainty seems to be the only certainty. And that's something we're getting accustomed to. I think it's important that we be dynamic and adaptive and all that, but especially in the space of like making money and business and opportunities, like entrepreneurial opportunities, it's becoming hard, right? Because things that used to be so sort of sure, like think of equities like stocks or even real estate now is somehow less stable and more into question. These things are all things that we thought were pillars, and they're now unstable and things change, right? And that's not the only space. I mentioned before that some examples might speak to you more than others. Another example is maybe college curriculums. We've known for a very long time that, especially in like IT diplomas or engineering degrees, the fields that graduates go into are changing so fast that their curriculums might not even be relevant by the time they end up working. And so these are very indicative of how the world works. People change a lot, opinions change, trends change, markets shift. Even if it's not money or demand that dictates a certain trend or area, other factors change, everything's variable. And so that creates and fosters an environment where no matter how sure you are to be well-versed in something, that something's going to evolve. And so that's a point I really want to get across, is that areas change and things change, and that's something you have to know. And that gets me to my last point, which is sort of bringing the first two together, my story, this realization, the fallacy of comparison focus. So what is comparison focus? Comparison focus is something I have been trying to Google a sort of effect or theory name of. I've been trying to find like a scientific or researched term for it. If you find it, please let me know in the comments. But anyway, it's something that's how I'm calling it for the sake of this video. What is it? Let me give you an example. So you are the top 1% of students in the world, right? You get a very decent grade compared to the other 99% of students. But compared to your close friends who just happen to be top 1% students as well, you think your grade is horrible. Compared to the focused, very niche down surrounding that you are in, aka your friends that are also top 1% students, your grade does seem relatively horrible. But if you put things into perspective and take a step back and look at 99% of other students, your grade might be amazing, right? And so that's just to explain to you what I mean by comparison focus. Obviously, these are very quantified examples, like maybe grade-wise, it's easy to quantify a ranking, but in very qualitative spaces like most of life, there are factors at play that you can't just quantify by saying like these people are the top or these are the worst, right? And so again, I'm only speaking for like finance or entrepreneurship or even sports as an example, because you tend to have rankings in that space, or at least something quantifiable like money. But yeah, keep that in mind as a caveat. All this to say, and I want to end off on this, is that one, if you're going to compare yourself, don't compare yourself to anyone other than yourself yesterday, right? That's the right thing to do. But if you are going to, because it's human, if you are going to compare yourself, make sure you take a step back and realize that you're comparing yourself only to your immediate circle, because that's human nature. So relativize, right? You're probably doing a lot better than you think you are. Cut yourself some slack. Second, you're not missing out on any huge opportunity, whether it's money-making opportunity or anything like that, just because you don't have the time or space right now in your life to drop everything and learn about it. There's always a new thing coming, and you're not missing out, at least in the grand scheme of things. You might be on this specific thing, but not on the grand scheme of things, right? If it's not crypto, you'll get into TikTok. If it's not TikTok, you'll get into something else. Things just have a way of working themselves out. If it's not the time for you to learn a lot about crypto, that's fine, in my opinion, because something else will come along. This is all to say that it's really good to be early, right? Educate yourself, of course, if you have the time and space to do it. But don't beat yourself up for it if you just can't right now, or it's not happening for you. There's always going to be another thing. And if you're going to compare yourself at all, make sure you do it healthily by taking a step back and realizing that you're probably just comparing to your immediate circle or a very high up circle, because that's human nature. That's my 2 cents. I can now go to sleep. Let me know what you think in the comments. And yeah, take care.